In this tutorial, we're going to create this custom 60s type chair using the Polygon extrude tool and the edge loop tool. I'm going to start by taking off the smooth proxy. I'll select my geometry and hit 1. You can see how simple this structure is and how easy it is to make it. I'm going to go to my front view of the chair and I'll hit 5 on the keyboard. And I've got it set for ghost, which means inside my viewport I've clicked on those two little interlocking white boxes. And if we do that, we can kind of see through to the structure of it. Now if we take a look, this elongated U shape is where we want to begin when we make our first polygon. So I'm going to hold down my space bar. I'm going to create polygon primitives, cube, and I'm going to draw out the flat surface. And I'm going to go to my perspective view, and now I'll give it a bit of thickness. Now the thickness is subjective, because once we start to extrude this, we may want to adjust it. So I'll right click, maybe I'll click on face, and I'll just make it a little narrower. Now I'm going to return to the front view. I'll hit F to get on top of it. And I'm going to get my edge loop tool. And if you recall, the edge loop tool looks like a window pane with an orange line going through the left hand side of it. If you need to find it on your toolbar, it would be under Mesh Tools and then Insert Edge Loop. So I'll click on my edge loop tool and I'll add an edge here and perhaps one there. I'm going to go to my perspective view, and we want to add the two pieces that are going to make this look like a big U. I'm going to be using the extrude tool. Now the extrude tool is this elongated orange cube on a white plane, and it can be found under Edit Mesh, Extrude. I'll right click, I'll choose face, I'll select this face and that. I'll go to my front view again, I'll click on the extrude tool, click on the blue dial, and I'll drag it up to get the U shape. If I go to my perspective view, I've got pretty much what I need to get this started. I'll right click and I'll go back to my object mode. Make sure you hit W. Mine stays in the previous tool. Now I want to extrude this, and I'd like to extrude it so I get the general contour of that chair in the side view, that reversed L shape we're kind of looking at here. Now I'm going to go to the side view of the chair, and I'm going to draw a CV curve that mimics the contour of this L shape of the chair itself. I'll hold down the space bar, go to Create CV Curve tool, set for 2, and I'll start to draw the path. I'll center my path, and now I'm going to go to my perspective view. In the perspective view, I'm going to right click on the geometry and choose face. I'll select the faces on the back of this U piece of geometry. Then I'll shift select the path. I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and I'm going to go to the Extrude Attributes. I'll set the divisions for 10. I'll leave the taper at 1 and the twist at 0. And I'll hit Apply. And if I navigate around, you can see we've got the basis of that chair going. If I would hit 3 on the keyboard, I can see kind of where this is going. So there's some editing to be done on this, but we've got the basic structure intact. A little bit of a bunching going on here, and there's a bit of a curve here. So what I'm going to do is go to my side view, and I'm going to go to my outliner. Now outliner can be reached by going to Window and clicking on Outliner, or it might be on your dock. I'm going to select the curve because it's very difficult to select the curve inside the geometry when we extrude faces like this. Once it's selected, I'll use my Move tool, and I'll just move it up a bit to straighten out the bottom of the chair. I could also have gone in and I could have selected the vertices and edited there if I chose. Once I have what I want here, I'll go back to my object mode for my path. I'm going to zoom in on this, and I'll go down and straighten out these vertices. And if I marquee select these, I can go right through the whole piece of geometry to make sure I get both sides of the chair. Now at this point it really is a matter of spending the time to edit the contour of this. You'll see there's a bit of a dip here, it gets wider at the top. So I'll just quickly start to play with this, but I'm not going to go too far because this is something you would have to spend your own time on. And I think it pretty much speaks for itself. I'm going to go to my perspective view, and once I've got that, I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard. So I'm starting to get what I want here. I think I might want it to hold together a little bit more at the top. So at this point, I can start to use the edge loop tool. So if I were to click here and now hit 3, it's holding together up there a little bit better. Now this might be a little too deep here, so I'll hit 1 on the keyboard. And once again, I'll go ahead and I'll use my edge loop tool. And now it's starting to hold together a lot better. Now, the top of the chair might flare out a bit. So these faces right here on either side, I'll select them. I'll get my scale tool and I'll just move them out a bit. And I might get these and put them out a little. Now, at this point, maybe my vertices would be a better bet on fixing this. I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard. And you can see that just by going back and forth, using that edge loop, I think I'll firm up this edge a bit. And I might go in and do the top here and the top there. So when I hit 3 on the keyboard, I'll right click, go to object mode and deselect. So I could go in here and clean these up. I'll do just a little bit of it. And I think I'll probably use my side view because I want to do this pretty cleanly. So I'll right click and choose vertex and I'll select through here like so. Maybe I'll go to my perspective view once I've got the vertices I want. And I just hit B on the keyboard, and if I wanted to, I could select, soft select, and I can make a more gradual selection of that geometry. So I'll just reduce this a bit. So after a little bit of quick editing, we might have something like this. And once again, you can spend more time on this to get the exact contour you want, moving around all these vertices to shape it, adding more edge loops if necessary. I'm going to now address the legs for this. I'm going to go to the top view with the chair selected, and I'm going to go to Create Polygon Primitives. And I'll go to Cube, and I'll drag the footprint shape that I might want. Go to my perspective view, and I'll give it some length. I'm going to taper the very bottom of this with the vertices and the scale tool. I'll return to my object mode, and now I'll go to my orthographic view for this. I'll start to move it into position. It's a bit tall. I'd like to scale it from the top of the geometry, so I'll hold down D and I'll drag on the y-axis. If I wanted to, I could also hold the V and it'll snap precisely to the top of the geometry. I'll hit my R to scale, and I'll change the size of it. And I'm going to rotate it a bit in this view. And then I'm going to go to the side view, and I'll do the same. Now I'll move it in under the chair. So I've got one leg that I want. Just make sure it's in the spot I want. A little big still, so I'll scale it in. Once again, you'll have a reference, so you can do this by looking at the picture perhaps you're using. And what I want to do is I want to replicate this 3 more times. But if I was to duplicate them, you can see my orientation on this isn't quite what I want. I'm going to hit W. I'm going to go to Modify, Freeze Transforms. Now I can go to my front view. And in the front view, I'm going to determine what vertices parallel to the front of the chair. In this instance, it's the Z-axis. So I'm going to hold down the space bar. I'm going to go to Edit, Duplicate Special, and I'll go to the Attributes. And I'm going to reset. And I'm going to put a minus in front of Scale, Z-axis, the last one at the far right. Be sure to hit Return on the keyboard to set that change. And when I click on Apply, I've got a mirror image of that. Now all I need to do is go to my side view. I want to select both of them and mirror them on the x-axis. So I'll mark key select. I'll go back to edit reset, and I'll put a minus sign in front of the 1. And now I'll hit apply, and there are my back legs. And we'll go to our perspective view, and now we've got our chair. So that's a basic approach to creating kind of a custom bucket chair where it's one continual piece of smooth geometry.